time it is. Marvin Devine, Hoover, Axel, and you know how we do. Yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Fuck it, what they doing, keep on doing. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, XL, and Hoover, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah.
All these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep waves by my side. CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Cold, these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep waves by my side. CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Ride or die, 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 ride or die. Cold, these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep waves by my side. CJ Ike, now I gotta ride or die.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah.
This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 and the kidney one. Not my girl, and say, this is. Out of being sick. Like I've been sick for such a long time. And first they say you got kidney disease. Then they say you got to go on dialysis. Then they say you might die. Then they say you have bone joint disease. You got arthritis. You know, your bones are breaking down. I just don't know what else to do. You know, I don't know if I know anybody. I don't know if I have enough help or understand what's going on with me. The doctor's not saying anything. I'm not getting any clear answers. Is there a pamphlet? Is there a book? Is there a person or something? I just don't know what else to do. Oh, wait a minute. I was flicking channels the other day and I saw this lady. Lila, Licky. Oh, yeah, it was Lisa Baxter. Oh, that's right. She write books and she's been all types of sicknesses, her and her family. So you know what I do? I think I'm gonna call her because this is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in the kidney world. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday, and I hope all is well. Oh, my. Oh, man. All I know is many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God shall deliver us out of them all. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. I've been young and I've been old, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor seed begging bread. Take hope in God. Take hope in the Lord, and he is a true healer and deliverer. We are going to start the show. But I had to tell you because that's who kept me all this time through the ugly, the good, the bad, and the sweet, and the fruitful, and the triumphant. All right, now, I have a nice guest, a wonderful guest for you. A man that's been in law enforcement for a long time. Oh, man, he has a BA in criminal justice. Okay, he works with the crowd. He works in the streets. He's running for sheriff. Oh, I'm going to let him tell his story. Oh, my gracious. He is just, a BS. He is just a man. He worked in the VA police department for 12 years in the city jails. He's was a veteran. He dealt with Desert Storm. He's dealt with a lot. And he still got more to give, not just because he gave for his country. So now he's giving for his state and where he lives. I'm not mad at him. I would like to introduce Mr. William Burno. Welcome to the Lisa Baxter Show. All right.
Good afternoon, Lisa.
Welcome.
And thank you for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here, and I hope that I can be some help and information to the public out there as to how things are going in our communities today.
Sure. I love that. I'm going to definitely give you a chance to tell your story. I'm going to give you a chance to answer some questions, and I'm going to give you some chance to maybe you want to make a statement or something. So I don't have any problems with that. Okay. Well, first question I wanted to ask you before you got into law enforcement, and the U.S. Army, did you hold any other positions or jobs?
No, actually, Lisa, I came straight from North Carolina. Country boy down in Wilmington, and I came straight from college, and the law enforcement and military is my first careers, and I've been in it ever since. So outside of those two things, I've been a college student, and but law enforcement has been my career. I've always believed in helping people, and I made it a long time goal and a long time career. And I'm hoping, like you said, I'm not finished at this point. So I'm hoping that, I have opportunity to get out there and do some more good for the public.
I like that. Yes. I like doing things for people as well, trying to help them or improve or prevent or just make their lives just a little bit better in some sort of way. Okay. Now, well, how was the Army experience? And then I would like to know, how was your college experience, if that's okay?
You start with the Army. That you missed the best part. My college experience was the greatest. Having fun.
You go either way with it.
But yeah, let me go back to my college experience. And I started out even back, and I'm gonna even go back a little bit further. When I was a young boy in the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts and all of those things. I've always believed in helping the community. I've always been a servant to the public. I've always, from a young child all the way up through where I am now, I've always been in service. I started out, like I said, as a Cub Scout and moved on to a Boy Scout, joined ROTC. Then I got into my young adult years where I was not only I joined my fraternity, which does a lot for our communities, but I've always done had a background of service. I've always had that passion to help, even on campus, helping out with cutting grass for some of the professors, the older professors that couldn't get out there to do those type things. And it just followed me on into my career to where I am today. I would tell you, just the other day I was campaigning, and one of the ladies said to me, she's older, older mother, and she was telling me, "Hey, my grass is so high," and and she was telling me, "I'm gonna vote for you and everything." She never asked me to do a yard, but I'm surprised and came back with two of my guys, and we went and cut her grass, and I made a promise to her that I said, when I'm elected sheriff, my Are You OK program is going to be one that for seniors out there that can't get out there in the yard, that we're going to help them out. We're going to get out there and we're going to have these guys that volunteer in our program, and we're going to get out there and keep our seniors grass cut. My military career, I would tell you, I started out not even thinking about, not even dreaming about being in the military. But because my parents, like I said, we didn't have a whole lot. My parents didn't have a whole lot, and I had to drop out a semester. So I had to figure out, how was I going to pay for college? Either was I going to drop out and go back home, or was I going to figure out a way to make that money? So what I did is signed up for a 2-year enlistment in the military. And that was the means of me getting through my college career, because I ended up over in Saudi Arabia, like you said, for a year's time. But that was my means for making it to that next level. And during that time, even in the military, again, service to my country, service to my community, service to now the city of Richmond. And that's my goal. It's always been about service. And that's the only way that we as a public is going to make our communities better. We all have to work together to be a part of making things right. That old saying of "it takes a village," it's a true statement. We just are not there no more. We don't have that mentality no more, that, because we too busy going against each other instead of trying to do what's right. Politicians that's out there in the public, giving them numbers out about what they're doing and how they're making a difference, but it's nothing that you can see, feel, or touch. I'm gonna be one of those guys that you're gonna see my programs. You're gonna be a part of them, because I'm gonna reach out to the community to be a part of my programs. And it's just, Lisa, it's just always been my passion, my desire to be in the community. I never thought I would be here, because, like I said, when I was back in my college days, it was about having fun, being in the fraternities and all that kind of stuff. But I still, still had that passion to get out there in the community to do more and do more. And that's what I've been about my 28 years of law enforcement in Richmond. Like I said, I was a sheriff office. I was number 2 in the sheriff department after 12 years next to the sheriff. I was also a supervisor in the police department, and I did 16 years there. So it's always been my passion, Legion. But we got to have, that's the thing about politicians, you got to have that passion, that real commitment. And, I can throw off a bunch of numbers about quoting this and quoting that, and all these, my opponent talks about monies that been taken in from other agencies, but you don't see none of that. You hear about it, but you don't see it. And that's why my goal is to be an outsourcing, resourcing, being a source to the community. And I'm gonna be big on that, because I do have that real serious passion for it. My mama brought me up that way. And it was like, if I go back to my childhood, my mom was one of those moms in the neighborhood that everybody knew. We don't have that no more, but everybody knew. My mom was 87 years old. Everybody knew her, and it wasn't nothing that my mom and daddy wouldn't do for anybody that asked them. And that's what they brought me up to be and how to be. And that's how I'm gonna run my office when I get out there. It ain't gonna be much out there. I ain't saying I'm gonna do everything, but I'm gonna try to get out there and do the best that I can do.
Excellent. Fantabulous. Well, that's all you can do. And it's nice that you would take away from family. You got something from your parents and you incorporate it in what you are doing. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful legacy to have and something important to have, especially when you're serving other people, because they can tell when you're being phony and they can tell when you're being for real and they can tell when you are
That's right.
passionate. You know what I mean? So, and they'll be the first ones in your face. You know what I'm saying? But that's great. You know, I mean, you're doing what you had to do. Now you're in the U.S. Army and you're dealing with all of this stuff. So you knew right away you wanted to go into law enforcement before you had finished the Army, or it came, you know, after you came home, or, you know, how did it come about that you chose this career even though you had the passion?
You know, I truly didn't know. My sister told me she knew because she said, I remember you to tell on me about everything. And you run around with your little badge on and your little guns on and talk about how you're going to arrest her. So my sisters back then knew, but I didn't know. I didn't know actually until I was broke out of the military and Richmond Police Department was recruiting on my campus. And I knew that I didn't have no money. I knew that I didn't have no outs, there was no resource. My parents didn't have a whole lot. So I took that test and I just didn't know how well I was going to do. I guess God meant for me to be in this line of work because they hired me on the spot after taking one test. And they said, if you come up, we giving you a conditional offer today on this campus. But if you come up to Richmond and you pass the physical fitness test, that we gonna offer you a job. And I came up and I passed that test and they gave me the job on the spot. And it went from there. You know, I would tell you this, that's really important, Lisa, especially with all of these shootings we have in between law enforcement and our Black community, that I truly, when I came here, I thought being a young gun-ho guy in a city that was predominantly Black, and we were plagued with drugs, and we were #1 in the nation for homicides at the time. And my thought process was that I'm going to get out there and I'm doing a good thing. I'm gonna lock them guys up, just making the community bad, and then, you know. And I thought about that. I thought that was the way to lock away the problem, but I found out that's not the key. I met a man named C.T. Woody. Probably you need him on your show for sure. He was the legend of Richmond. But I met a guy named C.T. Woody who turned my mindset around. And he told me, he said, man, you can't lock the problem away. You're going to solve more problems by working with the community. You're going to solve more problems by talking to people. You're going to solve it by getting out there and meeting people. And I will tell you that my career from that point, from going from that young police officer thinking that it was all about trying to get people off the street. And when we knew that people had, you know, I wasn't looking at the problems, the conditions, the environment they were coming from at the time. But when I met him, he changed my mindset, and my career at that point skyrocketed. I went from being a police officer on the street to being a community officer, to being a resource in the community, to being a supervisor and now directing people, to being a lieutenant colonel, making policy and procedures on things that should be and shouldn't be, to being a colonel for the first time in the history of the sheriff department, the very first one, first Black one. And I went there, and from there my career skyrocketed to now, where I am now, getting ready to be the next sheriff of the city of Richmond.
Your thing. I ain't mad at you. Excellent. Shondo, do your thing. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, you know, I know with a job like that, you might have ran into some people that that you had to come in contact with that maybe been sick in any kind of capacity. Maybe they had kidney disease. Maybe they had high blood, low blood. You know, our people usually have things like that sometimes. Not saying nobody else do, but I know it runs rapid sometimes in our areas and stuff. You know, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, kidney disease, and some of everything. And I work in the communities and I try to educate more and show them what to do or how to do it or refer them to somebody. And I try to keep it all in their community, but sometimes you got to go out of the community.
That's
So
right.
I know you putting your best foot forward with running for what you run because you saw some things. But have you ever met anybody either sick or ill or somebody that made you want to give up the job or change your mind, or because people have a bad day. You might have didn't mean it, but maybe you did. You know what I mean? So I'm asking you though. But you're
Yeah,
still in it, so you couldn't have wanted to go. If you did, you stayed.
yeah.
Right?
Well, I would tell you, Lisa, the unfortunate thing is that's part 90% of our career, that we come in type of contact with those type of people on a daily basis. It's been many a times that I've received calls that when I knocked on the door, the person couldn't get out, couldn't get, they had fallen inside because of their blood pressure went up and couldn't get up off the floor. I've been in situations where people were bedridden. I knew about it. I would go by and check on them daily. What you need, that's all about community policing, and that's what we have lacked in. That's what we have lacked in our in across the country. There's no more community policing has died. We have to rebuild that. And so when you talk about those sick people that we do come in contact, that's 90% of our job, because most of the people that we come in, it's always unfortunate. It ain't always a good subject in a situation. I mean, ain't always a good situation. It may be that I'll give you an example. It was a elderly person well, no, let me go back. I was campaigning, and lady came to me. She said, if you want my vote, I'm gonna tell you this. I know a lady that they mistreating in a nursing home. They said that she's left in there by herself. She's bedridden, and you need to, and I want to know if you're gonna be a man of your word and you're gonna go by there. And I said to her, I said, when I get back to work, I said I'm gonna make it my promise that I'm gonna get by there. She said, if you don't, I don't want to have nothing to do with you no more. So, I could have easily have been too tied up, and because we run call to call to call to call, sometimes police officers. And I could have forgot about it. But what I did is on my day off, I went to that nursing home. And first thing I did is went to the desk where everybody signs in, because they say nobody was visiting. Now, this turned out to be a good situation versus a bad, but I went to the desk and I say, I'm Officer Burnett with the Richmond Police, showed them my identification and everything. I said, I want to see your log on room 45. Well, I forgot what the number was, but 450. And she was like, what's the problem? I said, I want to see, I had a complaint. This is on my off time. And I was told that she was being left alone. She's 90 years old. She's being left alone in the house by herself, and nobody comes to see her. Y'all have the key here. And the lady said, no, that's not true. We have people that come by and check on her. I said, well, let me see your logs, because I want to be able to, when I go back, I want to be able to go back and say that, I did my due diligence and made sure. So when they sold me the log, I saw that she had a few people come by there that day. Then I said, well, I want the key. I want to go see it myself. And I don't need you to go with me. So I don't want nobody to go up there and try to clean up things and change things. I took the key and I went up and I told her who I was. And me and her had a nice long talk. And she was there by herself. But she said, sweetheart, people come by here and check on me. She said, I'm 90 years old, but I don't want nobody in here with me. I ain't no child. She said, I like being the way I am. She said, I'm safe. She said, I asked her, I said, well, do you mind let me look around your house, making sure you got food, you got water, you got access to a phone? She said, by all means, do it. And I did that. And that turned out to be a good situation. I met a new friend and I go by and check on her from time to time. But that could have also been the opposite way. It could have been somebody that was left alone in the house with nobody to care for them. And that's what we as law enforcement officers, we got to take the role of not only just the protector and locking people up and putting people in and making sure that this ain't, we also got to be the compassionate. That person that goes out and has that compassion to do what's good for those. We are protectors. That's we. When people tell me about this defunding the police and getting rid of police and all, we can't do that. We can't. We cannot be without law enforcement in this country. Imagine how that would look. So, but we do, as law enforcement, have to play a number of different roles. So I would tell you, Lisa, 90%, 99% of my job is dealing with the people that you talk about, the people that have high blood pressure. So we got to get out there and we got to educate. We, again, that's another role. When I do community meetings, if I don't do it because I don't have that medical background, I have another resource that comes in with those meetings with me, and then they put out the dealings about high blood pressure. When I go to my church and I'm the director of security there, we get together and we meet as a team and we talk about the nurses and us at our church and staff talking about what we need to do as a Black community and when it deals with high blood pressure and those types of things. So I'll tell you, Lisa, everything when it comes to law enforcement, we have to wear a bunch of different hats. And it can't always be about the hats of arrests. I found out through my friend I told you about. I learned that you cannot arrest the problem away. There's always going to be somebody out there to take its place. So you may arrest this one, and there's somebody going to take its place. So the best way to do it is you got to change the mindset of people. Change the mindset, give them opportunities and resources to make them not want to do that. You know, you keep them from off the streets and that. So every day, one of the day that I was on the street, that I didn't come across somebody that may have been obese, might have been sitting on a mental health is a huge issue for us right now. Many times that I have rolled by and just took food or water to somebody sitting on the corner that, you know, you try to coach them off the street. A friend of mine who does mental health evaluations, I sent her many a time. Hey, it's a girl on the corner. She's out there every day. Can you go by there and talk to her? Because they have resources that I don't have, but they can get them off the street, get them in hotels and stuff. So I would constantly feed her names and locations where somebody may be sitting. So the majority of our career is going to be about, we do very little, people don't, we see a lot of TV shows, but most of our career is not about arresting people. It's not about locking. That's what they publicize. Most of my career is going to people's houses and talking to them. If I get 10 calls a day, if I get 10 calls, it's only one of them that's going to be something that deals with arresting. But the media publicize that. But the rest of that time, I'm either talking, trying to defuse, making sure, you know, I had a lady, she was in her house, she wanted something to eat. I would go down the street in my police car, grab her something to eat, bring it back, run into the store. That's what the majority of police work is about. But the media, unfortunately, publicizes the bad things because it's ratings. It's ratings for their TV shows.
Oh, sure. The worse, the better. What I loved about you is that she put you on the spot and she called you on something that she wanted to see that you do, you know, because she saw negative in the past. So she wanted to know if you was about the same thing. So you just can't do a bunch of talking. You got to be about what you say, and you are all about it. So I'm not mad at you. You ain't never lied. You know, well, we have Patrick Burno in common, my baby, my nephew. He was also on the show, and he also is a sheriff. Now, what is the campaign like? Give us a little piece of what the campaign, because when you and I talked yesterday, you said some things. I ain't mad at you because you can get tired, you can get exhausted, it can be overwhelming, you know. So
it's like an emotional roller coaster. You have days where people tell you that you're doing wonderful and you're doing great. And then you have days where, I'll give you an example. Today, I had one of the guys that I thought was supporting me. I thought he was supporting me. And he smiled and talked in my face and said all the wonderful things that he was going to do. And then I turn around a week later and I ride by his house. Well, today, ride by his house, and he got my opponent signed in the yard. And I just saw him. So it's an emotional roller coaster for you. One day you up, one day you down. I will tell you that I don't know if I would have did this if I had to do it over again. And not because I don't want. I tell you, it takes a lot out of you. But I have an excellent group of people, to include your nephew. Excellent group of people that's dependent on me. And what motivates me and keep me going and make sure that I stay on that path is every time I come across a senior or somebody in the community, and I have the opportunity to, like I say, just as simple as cutting grass, do something and see the expression on their face and see how important that simple task for me was, just getting out there cutting grass for about 30 minutes. But what big of a difference it made. That's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me going and pushing in the direction we're going in. And so it's emotional, but I'm here and I'm gonna keep on driving.
I ain't mad at you. I like driving now. Now, what is your future plan? Or I believe that you're going to get this. You know, I believe and pray that you're going to get this. What's the first thing you would do when you are in office or elected for this position of sheriff?
It's a couple of things that I have to do, and unfortunately, my opponent that I'm running against, and your nephew is a prodigy of just seeing what's going on down there, have taken the sheriff department in a different direction. The assaults are skyrocket through the roof. Inmate got six other inmates jumped on another inmate just yesterday, attacked him, stabbed him in the face, beat him up really bad. Assaults on deputies have skyrocketed. We had one female that has had inmate warm some water up in the microwave, threw it in her face. Another one got slammed on the head, teeth knocked out, nose broken. This is what's going on in the Richmond Sheriff's Office. It's no control. It's no leadership. It's no direction. And the first thing that I have to do as sheriff is get control of the facility. We have to get not only get control, but I also got to support my staff, because if I don't support my staff, then my staff ain't gonna support me, and then that ain't a good outcome for the people that we are charged to oversee. So it's getting in charge and taking control of that facility, because it's a complete, I'm just gonna call it what it is, a complete mess, and it's out of control, and it's a dangerous situation for both staff and inmates. And that's going to be my first thing that I do walking in. Now, once I'm settled, I'm going to start focusing on something that I promised the people. And that's to start going, supporting our youth out there in the community. Our youth is our most valuable commodity. And unfortunately right now, especially the black youth, we've got to get out there and do more for them. And it's one of the things that I'm gonna put in place is a program that's going to lead into a boot camp style program that starts out for 6 months to get that structure, that discipline, and that understand. And it's also an alternative to judges. We want to keep our kids out of the system. So that I'm going to put that program in place as a judge to say, Judge, you sentence him to me, not sentence him, but give him to me. Let me give him that structure. Then we're going to go into that long-term, after the 6-month long-term mentorship program. And that mentorship, we're going to start it at an early age, early middle school, all the way till you graduate. And then we're going to help you either get to where you want to go, whether it's college, whether it's military, whether it's trade school, all at the same time partnering with people in the community, because we want people like people in the community to come back and help support our plan. I'll tell you another thing that I'm gonna do that's critical to our is helping people that have had a past. You know, a lot of time people don't want to give people opportunity because they had a past. I've got a past. My program is called Bounce Back, and I got the name from Bounce Back from my friend from 5 years old who had been arrested. I can't even count the number of times I arrested. He's probably watching the day and I'm talking about it. But he told me that when he got out this last time, he's gonna get his life together. He's gonna go and he's been out, got his own truck. He's out a trucking company and he's doing well. And I named the program because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hire people from the community on the sheriff department. And I want to be the example to others out there to give people opportunity. Just because you've been locked up, you can't be locked out. And that means I have to give people an opportunity, because if we don't give them opportunity, then what they're going to do? They're going to reoffend. They're going to cost us tax money. But if I can reach somebody, I can hire them and put them on my community relations unit. And I'm changing the community relations unit to community engagement team. And because we're going to engage the community. And when others see people like that have had a past in the community, working with the sheriff department to do some good things, they're going to say, well, if he can do it, better chances of me doing it. But at the same time, I'm a partner with other 8 people in the community. So that's going to give not only my agency as the example, but what about the mechanic down the street? What about one of the things I'll tell you real quick, Lisa, was when I first took over as lieutenant colonel in the sheriff department, first thing I did, we were spending taxpayers $35,000 a year on taxpayers just washing cars. Now here I got 1,100 people sitting in a building with nothing to do all day. So what I did is I went out and bought all the equipment that you can use to detail cars, everything, vacuum cleaners, all that kind of stuff. And I pulled guys out and I put them on a detail and they started detailing our cars. We saved $35,000 a year. But the kicker is today, 3 of them got their own detailing businesses right now. And that was 6 years ago. I'm sorry, that was 12 years ago. So you got to give people a direction. There's no direction down
Absolutely.
in that. No direction, no guidance, no leadership. And if you don't have that, you're talking about the place is a disaster. And that's what it is, a total disaster right now. And I'm just going to call it what it is. Not because I'm running for sheriff. Yeah, not because I'm running for sheriff, but because that's just what it is. So, those going to be my 2 key. I got to get that control, because if I have no control, then the place is dangerous. It's dangerous not only for staff, but it's dangerous for the people that come there. So I'm telling you that those are going to be 2 of my first targets that I when I walk in the door.
Fabulous. Yes. Well, you giving hope and you giving help, right? And you're not scared to get your hands dirty. I live in New York, but I mean, I'd have voted for you. All right now.
Well,
Yes. And you're doing a good thing. You're doing a good thing and you're trying to do a good thing. You know what I mean? If you ran into anybody that was running for sheriff and you were already sheriff, what encouragement or what advice would you give that person?
I would tell them that, and it's key. And I would tell them that you have got to be a leader. That's the number one thing for any organization, whether it's sheriff, whether it's corporate, whether it's medical. If you if you don't have that leadership skill, then you have no direction. If you don't have no direction, you're not thinking about resources. If you don't have your resources, you can't do a good job. So the first thing I would tell anybody out there that's taking over and to being a part of the community, that the key thing to any organization out there is you got to create that leadership. Leadership is key in any organization and any like I say, whether it be communities, whether it be, I'm even down to, you're talking about community resource centers or whatever it may be. But leadership is the most dynamic piece of any organization. So that would be my big focus. And I would say that whether, again, like I say, whether it be a sheriff or whether it would be a fire department, no direction, no guidance, No leadership, no progress.
Yes, yes. People need help. They don't always know where to go, and I'm glad that the youth is part of my ministry and my passion as well, and I volunteer in the juvenile justice system, and teach religious studies and things of that nature. But I just always loved kids, and I always, even when I was a counselor. But I like that you trying to put programs in place. You have to give stuff a chance, and sometimes it's little, but then it comes to be something big. Once a few of them join, and some of their friends would join. But sometimes they say, "I ain't going in there. That ain't cool." Whatever they say, because you are making a difference, somebody's gonna walk in there and their life gonna change, like you already been changing lives. So that's a very, very, very good thing. You fix something about a person, they might have 5 things wrong. You gave them you fixed them with their health, but now they don't have no money. You fix that, now they don't have no place to live. So sometimes you really got to try to fix the whole man or the whole woman or that whole family. You might can't do everything, but if you can fix the main stuff, the other stuff can come along. So I love that you're running. And I love that you're always out there. I look at and saw your on your Facebook page, your team, your camp, and you in the trenches kind of thing. Child, I love it. I just love it, love it, love it. Now, if you can give a shout out to somebody, whoever it is, it could be family, friends, organization, a business, God, anywhere you want to give a shout out to, give your shout out. And if we missed anything and you want to say something or make any statement before I close the show, I want you to be able to do that. Okay.
Well, I would say this, Lisa. First, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I would tell you that things and I said I won't talk bad about my opponent, and I'm not, but it would be a disservice to the deputies who still are working in a facility that's so unsafe and dangerous for, like I say, not only for the deputies, but the people that we are charged to protect. And it would be a disservice if I didn't reiterate the importance of making a change due to the fact that, I saw something about, we keep talking about $500,000 grants here, $3 million grants here, but you don't see no results from none of it. None of it, not one single thing. All it is talking points for getting elected, and you don't hear about it until it's time to get elected. But I would like to shout out to my team that has been with me for the last 3 years, include your nephew Bruno, who's been out there with me in the trenches, getting out in the community. There's nothing that I've asked that they didn't get out and support me with. So those would be they are my backbone. A lot of times they are the people that keep me motivated, keep me going, keep me moving forward. So, if I had to shout out, I would say I shout out to my team, and into June of the 8th, God willing, we're going to be celebrating, and I'm hoping to hear from you again, Lisa, to be a part of that celebration. And my plans, like I said, is I'm going to make the sheriff department a resource. It ain't going to be a warehouse for housing people no more. And that's what it is now. Housing, you talking about sick, is housing the sick now. And unfortunately, that's what it is. But we're going to be a resource, and we're going to focus on our programming for our youth, keeping people out of jail, supporting our staff and seniors, our veterans out there that's on the street that need that support, and making a difference and a change in our mental health and our faith base. Those are my key components that I'm gonna focus on. So I again thank you, Lisa, for having me on the show, and I really hope that in June the 8th, you gonna do a podcast and come up there and say congratulate me on live while I'm when we take an office either in June, when we win office in June 8th, because that's when we're gonna really go hard to take it in November. But I do appreciate you having me here.
Absolutely, thank you.
Just
thank you. Yes, thank you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's a privilege to have you, and I'm glad that Patrick told me about you, Patrick Burno, and I am so glad that you came. Some people are busy, or some people are so high, like that little show or that little thing, or you
Right.
you still was respectful and you were still grateful and glad, and so was I. So it's an excellent communication and an excellent thing you're doing, and you can't do nothing but back or respect a person like that. You know. That's just about it. You know what I mean? I'm praying for you, and I believe God for you. And be careful out there. Keep doing your thing. And thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Right? Okay, guys. Did you enjoy that or what? You know what I mean? So every officer isn't bad. You always got your good and your bad. Just like people sometimes act like we are terrible. All of us are terrible. All we do is have kids, and all we do is steal from the government or welfare or whatever. But whatever your situation is, if you needed that welfare, you needed it. You know what I mean? Whatever you need, you needed it. So you just don't want anybody putting no label on you. But thank you for being a part of the show tonight. Thank you for sharing this, Karen. So share this, please. Make it go viral, and have an excellent night. Next week, I have Sharon Turnage is going to be on the show. And boy, if she don't have like 4 degrees of everything. I mean, she's a substance abuse counselor. She's a social worker. I can't even name it all, but she'll be here to tell her story herself. And I thank you again. God bless you again. I love you always. V for victory and peace.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah.
This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 and the kidney one. My girl, and say, this is.
Brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep waves by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Cody's brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep waves by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Ride or die, ride or die, ride or die, ride or die.